Good morning and welcome to Church at Home with Rachael for Monday, March 22nd. Spring has sprung. It's a little chilly in the air, but we know that Easter is coming, that spring is coming, and soon everything will look better. I spent my weekend working on annual general meeting reports, writing reports and preparing the reports and getting the agenda ready and all that stuff. And it occurred to me that I am missing meetings, face-to-face, around a table meetings. How about you? Now, some of you might think I'm crazy. There's a lot of people out there who, they would avoid a meeting as often as they could if possible. And since everything's been on Zoom lately, maybe the idea of another meeting is just driving you up the bend, around the bend. But I'm finding I'm actually enjoying these Zoom meetings. See, I'm a bit of a meeting junkie. I love the synergy that happens when you gather people together. The more the merrier. Well, sometimes too big is not good. But when you get people together and you start talking about something that you all have in common. Now, that doesn't mean you all agree and that you're all of like mind. But when you gather people together who all have some kind of a passion or at least some common thread, some common agenda item that they are talking about and hashing out and figuring out, there's something incredible that happens when everybody's behaving themselves and treating each other well. That when we start sharing our opinions and ideas and our hopes and dreams, or what didn't work last time and why, and how can we learn from that, or what worked really well and we need to keep, there's something incredible about that synergy that happens when we work well together, even when we don't work well together, when people come together and they're honest. In my time in different dioceses, I've always been on things like diocesan council, or the last time I took a trip for 5 years on the human resources VSST is what they sort of call the committees in the Diocese of Nova Scotia and Prince Edward Island. And I don't know the first thing about HR, but I learned so much. The willingness to go into a meeting and say, I really don't know what I have to contribute, but I'm willing to listen and I'm willing to learn. And I'm willing to offer my viewpoints and my ideas if you're willing to listen to me. There's something really powerful about that when we do that, when we encourage people to be honest, that we can really move things forward. Now, I'm just going to take an aside here and apologize. Dude has fallen asleep at my feet and he's snoring rather loudly. So if you hear something odd, that's the dog. I apologize. Meetings are something that lots of people don't like, but meetings are important. They're where where decisions get made and new ideas are evolved, and opportunities arise and problems can get fixed. The church is filled with meetings, and there's lots of people. I've always found this year is not the first year. Every year I have ever been as a rector trying to invite people to parish council or vestry, as it may be called. I hear the most amazing reasons why they don't want to get involved, and that's okay. I honestly believe that if someone doesn't want to be involved in something like that at council, then they really shouldn't be. Although sometimes people are shy or they've had a bad experience and just don't want to try again. I think sometimes we need to step out of our comfort zones and really say yes to the Spirit. When someone asks you, how would you like to try this? How about this opportunity? Maybe our knee-jerk reaction to say, nope, I've been there, done that, never going to do it again. Maybe we need to rethink that. I know that I have been on committees and councils where people have been abominable to one another. And my first response to thinking about being on another group with potentially someone like that, can be pretty visceral. Like, no way, I don't want to do that again. It was painful last time. But the thing is that as Christians, how do we offer, how do we reach out with that olive branch, or how do we offer forgiveness or new chances to people who might not have, done so well the first time around? If we say, no, I'm not going to, I'm scared off, or I'm so ticked off by how things worked or how the church works or how this works that I'm never going to help again. Well, you can't help change it if you walk away from it. Maybe the things that you think should be different need to be said, and you're the person who needs to say them. Sometimes that person who has been the real jerk in the meeting or the committee, sometimes when they've left for a while and come back a couple of years later, they come back with a new attitude or maybe new experiences, or even just a different group of people elicits a different response. I have had some really tough colleagues and people to work with on committees. And there have been times I have wanted to wring somebody's neck, times I've wanted to just break out in tears, times I've wanted to throw my pen in the air and stomp out of the room. And generally speaking, I don't. I behave myself. I try to remember everything I was taught in Sunday school and brownies and guides and by my parents, and really, pay attention to what's going on and try to not take it personally. And I can tell you how much I have grown from that. Being with people who are frustrating, people who are angry with you, people who really, really don't like you, might even hate you. Those are uncomfortable, but you know what? We face those in life all the time. If we go through life not ever ticking anybody off, I kind of wonder if we've done our job. When we come up against somebody who has a different idea than we do, we might tick them off. And maybe they need to be ticked off. Sometimes we need to be ticked off because that means somebody else has said something that we've maybe reacted to or we don't agree with. We feel like, wait a minute, that's way wrong. But on further reflection, we might find that they weren't completely wrong themselves, or maybe we were more wrong than we thought. It's in times like that when we gather together in meetings that we are able to really grow and help others to grow and experience a new perspective and see things in a different way. And so I'm looking forward to our annual meetings at my churches. And I'm looking forward to the world of, post-pandemic when I can get involved with committees in the diocese and get to know other people and get deanery meetings and be able to have some back and forth one-on-one with people, but also in groups. And in the meantime, I'm enjoying my Zoom meetings. I know lots of people are zoomed out, but I'm finding that connecting with other people and hearing what they have to say, it's broadening my horizons. This pandemic has, I think, probably for me and probably for lots of people, really closed in our perspectives, closed in our worlds. And even a Zoom meeting allows us to get out of our living rooms or our bedrooms or our bathrooms or wherever we're Zooming from and get into virtually a world that's a little bit bigger than our own four walls. Those meetings I'm talking about, they can be small ones like a meeting of the PTA or the parish council or vestry or the ACW. They can also be meetings of town council or sports associations. But there always have been meetings through the years, meetings of our councils of the church, meetings when we had the forefathers, and probably weren't many mothers there, but when they hammered out things like the words in the Nicene Creed or determined what would the Canon be like, what would the Bible look like, which books would be and letters would be included and which ones wouldn't be. Those were all meetings where people had strong opinions and shared their opinions with great strength. We as a diocese in Edmonton are coming up to a meeting on June 26th when we will gather, hopefully in person, but maybe by Zoom or some other way, to elect a new bishop for our diocese. That's one of those times when we won't be discussing things very much, but we will have had opportunity to discuss things before we get there. So as we approach this thing and as this election, and as we encourage and pray for the selection committee and the members of our own diocese and the other three dioceses who have contributions and have members on the selection committee, let us take time as churches and maybe as deaneries and as neighbors and friends and people on Facebook together to talk about what is God calling us to do in this diocese? Who is God calling us to be? What are the next steps? And we can also pray as a group, as committees. We can pray for those people who will stand and say, I believe I may be called to be a bishop, as we also gather on the 26th to determine who that person is who God has called to be a bishop. So if you're a meeting junkie, I feel your pain about being locked down. If you hate meetings, I can sympathize with how you feel about too many Zooms. But in the meantime, let's not throw meetings out with the bathwater. They're an important place where we can gather and we can share thoughts, and we can figure out where we're going, and we can discuss, creative solutions to problems. Meetings are one of the ways that God works through in our lives. So if you have a meeting today, God bless you, and don't forget to pray before and after it. And if you don't have a meeting today, think about those who are. Whether they like them or not, they need your encouragement, your prayers, and your support. So, I don't think I have a meeting today. I have palm cross making today, but I don't have any meetings. So I will be thinking of those who meet. May God bless you and keep you safe. Make sure you wear your mask so you can keep other people safe. Get your vaccination as soon as you can. And I will see you tomorrow on Church at Home with Rachael for Tuesday. God bless everybody. Have a wonderful day.